welcome to another episode of Influence and Growth Mastery. Today, I have a very special guest with me. It's Daniel Gomez. I cannot tell you how thrilled, Daniel, I am to have you on the show. Before we take a minute to have you introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you do, I have to tell you, I not only have a millionaire mindset, but I have a billionaire mindset. So welcome to the show. Tell us who you are and what you do. Welcome.
Tonya, thank you for having me on. Boom to the billionaire mindset.
Yes.
I'm on my way there with you right now. Woo!
Yes.
Man,
Yes.
I tell you what, I had this interview on my calendar, Tonya, and it's been a great, I've been building up and just really want to say thank you for having me, honestly, from the bottom of my heart. And who's Daniel Gomez Inspires? Daniel Gomez Inspires is a regular human being who's crazy enough to believe in his dreams. And I help people create the millionaire life, the millionaire business that they desire. Because most people, Tonya, they undervalue themselves. They undervalue who they are. I speak all over the world by God's grace. I speak on leadership, team building, business. And as I was in Hawaii, as I was in the UK, Florida, it doesn't matter where I go. Most people, over 90%, undervalue themselves. You know why? Because they have the same belief system. So just to get the tone for the episode, somebody challenged me, said, Daniel, that's not true. How can somebody in Hawaii have the same mindset as Florida? So just role play with me here, Tonya. I say this, right? It's okay, great. Y'all don't believe me? I'm going to prove it to you. So I say this. I start the phrase, you finish it. So ready, Tonya? Money doesn't grow on
trees.
Who do you think you
are?
The early bird gets the
worm.
How do we know that?
It's what we've been taught. I've heard it all my life.
Yes. And do you realize that people all over the world think the same way?
Mm-hmm.
We're trained and conditioned to have a poverty consciousness, to be poor-minded, as I refer in my book, The Makings of a Millionaire Mind. And when I went to the UK, when I spoke in England, it really hit me because I said, wow, this isn't just in America. This is an epidemic. And I say an epidemic worldwide because the truth is there's many people out there starving, living paycheck to paycheck, undervaluing themselves. And when you undervalue yourself as a human being, well, then guess what? You're going to undervalue your business. So what I do is through our speaking, our training, and our business coaching, Show of Faith, we really help people develop and build that millionaire mindset. So my goal for the next, I'm not going to give you some crazy numbers, but I really want to do this. I'm going to create 100,000 millionaires within the next 5 years. That's my goal.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. I love it. Let's do it. I'd love to do that with you. That is wonderful. You know, I tell you, you talk about being or feeling undervalued, I've been talking about not loving yourself. And I've actually even gone through that process here lately myself. And when I started reading your book and listening to your book here lately, that resonated with me because I hired a personal branding coach who's put me through the test about, do you really know who you are? Do you love yourself? And I thought that I did, Daniel, until we started digging deep. And then I realized there were some things in my past that were underlying that made me realize there were some things about myself that I didn't love. And I've had to work through those things. And once I really realized who I am, those things started changing. And man, what an inspiring book, The Makings of a Millionaire Mind, put you through as well.
Is that as a human being, all we deal is surface level.
Yes.
90% of people, over 90% deal surface level. What do I mean? I
agree.
An example is, Tonya, how's your day? Oh, it's going good. Okay, great. Kids get home from school. How was your day at school? Okay, good, mom. Great, dad. Boom, they're running upstairs. That's it. That's not even surface level. That's just touching the surface.
Right.
And then when you start getting surface level, we're not used to, hey, well, how really was your day today, Tonya? Daniel, no one's really stopped and asked me that to really be concerned. So then now you're going deeper. And there's so much in the book I talk about, right? Stop sweeping everything under the rug. In our Makings of a Millionaire Mind, I dedicated a chapter to that because we sweep so much stuff under the rug and we don't deal it. But this is the tragedy in this. And then I say a tragedy because it's a tragedy because, put it this way, it's kind of like you have a backlog of things you suppress, right? Just imagine a backlog of unforgiveness, a backlog of resentment. Maybe something happened to you when you were a teenager and right, your heart was broken as a teenager and you really loved that high school girlfriend. Well, the next thing you know, you have that unforgiveness because you were hurt. Well, then that resentment is there. Well, then you go and you try out for basketball and then you don't make it. Well, then there's more resentment because you never dealt with that. And then for me, I lost my mom when I was 10, and right, my mom passed away when I was 10 years old. So you have the loss of a loved one. And all of a sudden it turns into anger, which I had a lot of anger issues when I was younger. And you're like, well, anger is the symptom. What's the root cause? Well, it's because we sweep things under the rug. And most businesses fail because of shame, guilt, unforgiveness, because these emotions cause us to self-sabotage ourselves. It's the trauma that we never dealt with.
Right. Well, and I think too, we've been taught nobody cares. Don't share it with people because nobody cares. You know, they don't want to hear it. So don't share it. You know, oh, wow. That's deep.
And that's true what you're saying, because I remember, I think I had a crazy childhood, right? And crazy and adventurous is what I mean. I had an adventurous childhood where when my mom passed away, I moved to San Marcos, which is about an hour away from San Antonio with my dad. Fell in love with this girl, high school sweetheart. We ran away together. We were together probably 4.5 years. We ran away back to San Antonio and I loved her. And, but when she broke my heart, exactly to your point, I stopped caring. I said, all those promises that are broken between me and her. Now Tonya comes with a sincere heart wanting to help me. And I'm like, I can't trust you because I don't care. Right. And you stop caring. And next thing you know, it's like, when people get hurt, I don't care, because it was easier for me in that season of my life to not care. But I didn't realize how many, first of all, I was hurting myself. And then how many people I was hurting along the way, because I had a thought process of, you know what? It doesn't matter why you love somebody, because they don't care. No matter what the promises you say at night. Well, then we carry that subconsciously into business. And then we wonder why our business is failing, because we can't trust somebody and it keeps us stuck in that loophole. And something that I talk about in the book is millionaires deal with the hard issues. You have to deal with those hard issues, and not caring was a huge one for me, because I had a lot of just hurt that when you get hurt, right? It's sometimes we don't deal with that. And especially in me being a Mexican, right? We say, oh man, stop being a wussy. Like, come on, man, toughen up. Like, real men don't cry. Come on, be tough and whatever. And then as in the, especially not just, but men in general, what do we do? Let me drink a beer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they suppress.
Wash it away.
Right?
Wash it away.
Coping. They start coping with the issue through alcohol.
I have to share with you, I found this out. It's been now probably back Father's Day last year, I shared with my family that, and my coach, that as I was trying to figure things out, was one of the things that I was dealing with was I didn't feel loved from my father, because as we were growing up, my father never told us he loved us. And so I thought he loved us, but we never heard it. He was not one who told anybody that he loved us. And so that was very hurtful. And so we always felt the need to feel loved by a man. And so I went through some training, Daniel, on understanding relationships and understanding behaviors. And so when I identified having my father share with us what his personality relationship was, and I found out what that was, and I found out that in the type of personality he was not one to share affection. He didn't know how to do that. And so when Father's Day came, in his Father's Day card, I wrote out to him what his values were. So what he valued was things that were, for example, he valued technology. He valued self-growth. He valued all of these other things. So what I did was I thanked him for teaching me how to do things on my own. I thanked him for the success I've had was the way he taught me various things. And so as I did that in the card, at the end, I told him I loved him for doing and teaching me all of these things. And so he responded back to me in a text message, because I was not there when he got the card. I love you.
Oh,
Daniel, for the first time in years, I felt like I cracked the code on how to speak my dad's love language. And so what he needed was to feel valued for the way he builds relationships and speaks to people. And so I then, from that point forward, knew how to have conversations with him. And our relationship is now totally different than what it has been for years past, because we now know how to communicate. I know what he values, and not that he knows what I value now, but now we can say, I love you, because I speak to him in his language.
yes.
Knowing what he values.
Well, a lot of times in my coaching, what I do is I love what you're saying, because sometimes somebody says, people don't realize this, but your eyes are actually part of your brain.
Yes.
Right. We've been misled in some, right. We think that the eyes are connected to your brain, to the nerve. Mm-hmm. No, it's proven scientifically now that your eyes are actually part of your brain. So why did I bring that up? Because when you look into your pupils, when you look into your eyes, this is an exercise that I do to my clients, and I hold them accountable, is I have them get in front of the mirror and do the mirror work. And to your point exactly, when I have a client, I say, okay, for the next 21 days, you're going to say, I love you. And then for the next 90 days, you're going to say, I love you because, right, they start to believe the I love you, right? They look in the mirror, and this is, I'll give them the exercise because I really want to help your audience, right? So you got to have fun with it, right? So I say, I love you. 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 I love you, Daniel. I believe in you, Daniel. I love you, Daniel Gomez. And that's the way they do it. 10 times you say it. Then once you get to 10, you put your name in there. I love you, Daniel Gomez. I love you, Tonya. And that gets the brain going. Well, then after a while, your brain goes, okay, well, I love you. But you're like, your mind's thinking like, well, why do I really love myself? Right. But then I throw in the becauses, right? I love you because you're an amazing father. I love you, Daniel, because you are the number one motivational speaker. So for the next 90 days, they do that exercise. And now they start to validate and affirm themselves. Because what I heard you saying was this, right? You were looking for affirmation and validation in the wrong situations because your dad never validated you. So ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you, as you're listening to this amazing podcast here with me and Tonya, the Influence and Growth Mastery podcast, is, are you looking for validations in the wrong area? Are you looking for approval in the wrong areas? Maybe you're running to that man or woman that doesn't treat you right because you were never validated by your dad. And that's huge. But we need that. We need that validation. But to that point of what I'm saying, I've had so many clients that call me, they're crying. And I'm like, what's going on? I just did the mirror exercise and I can't do it. I got stuck on the first I love you.
Oh, wow.
Because they've never told themselves they love themselves, because why? They never heard it from dad. It's huge. There's an epidemic in America right now that I don't know how many, right, single moms now. There's a lot of fatherless teenagers out there, a lot of fatherless children, and it's huge, and it affects a person's ability. And why I love that we're talking about this, because people don't understand the psychology and just that it's an epidemic, because what happens is that I wrote this in my book Sticker Shock, where when a baby is not touched, I call it the power of the human touch in my book, is that if a baby is not touched, it could die when it's born, right? As soon as a baby's born, if the baby just sits there in the nursery, no one ever comes in human contact with it, it could pass away, because we're taught as babies, the power of the human touch. So a child growing up that's affirmed, right? If I tell my son, Julian, I love you, you're a winner. And when that child is going to grow up with more confidence and be more successful, proven scientifically. And my son is a great example of that. He's 23 years old, crushing it right now, because I always told him I loved him. But so a child that's never told that they're loved, they self-doubt, they have a lower level of confidence. So I'm glad we're talking about this, because, ladies and gentlemen, you need to validate your children and tell them, I love you, you're amazing, you're beautiful, and give them a reason. I love you because you help me clean the kitchen. I love you because you do your homework. Give them, I love you just because you're amazing. And when we do that as parents to children, man, I think back of all the success that I've had. And I'll never forget my brother-in-law, because my mom passed away when I was 10, and we had a lot of different, right, moving pieces when I was a teenager. But one thing I never forget is my brother-in-law, Richard. He would always tell everybody, like when we'd have our barbecues or get-togethers, Daniel's smart, man. Daniel's just super smart. And I remember that. Like him not aware of it, he was validating.
Yes.
Man, Daniel's super smart, man. Daniel, you're going to be somebody. But he would always tell me that over time. And now I think about when I got to high school, like math was boring, because I not that I mastered algebra 1 or algebra 2, but it just came easy to me. But I would always remember that Richard would tell me, man, you're smart, Daniel, man, you're smart. But you know what the irony is? On my road to success of becoming Daniel Gomez Inspires, there was a part of me that didn't believe I was smart enough to be a millionaire.
Wow.
I had a block. And I think it just came because, right, at the surface level, I was smart enough to get to one level. But then when I was like, God, what's going on? Why am I self-sabotaging myself? And I heard it. It happened. I don't know what. I heard a clip of a podcast, and, people don't sometimes succeed because they don't think they're smart enough. And when I heard that, boom, I started crying. And God says, you don't need a degree to be a millionaire, Daniel. And I never looked back, but I had to realize that I was smart enough to be a millionaire. That now on this side of it, as I've come through, now we're 6 years in business. We've coached thousands of clients. I'll be flying out to Tampa Bay to go be with one of my elite clients. He's flying me in. But I realized that we all have these struggles.
Yes.
And I share this because we look at Instagram, we looked at LinkedIn, and we see the posts that people put, and we think that they have the perfect life. There's no such thing as a perfect life.
No.
So, ladies and gentlemen, don't feel that you're less than. Don't feel that you're not worthy because you're seeing the highlight reels of everybody else on Instagram, on Facebook. Daniel Gomez cries too. I was just at a conference myself yesterday because I needed a boost. I needed a charge because we're human.
That's right.
The biggest charge we can give ourselves is a charge of spending time with God. If it wasn't for God, right? For me, the big breakthrough came for me in my business is when all these insecurities wanted to come up. I said, God, I need your help. God says, are you tired of being busy doing nothing? So what are you talking about? I go, we're making money, right? In my mind, because we're making a profit. He goes, Daniel, you're busy doing nothing. So if you go to my LinkedIn account, it says Daniel Gomez, president of DG Enterprises. Because God says, if you want this to really take off, I need to be your CEO. So if you go to my Clubhouse, it says God is my CEO. And in the moment I made that, we doubled in 2020. We doubled in 2021. We doubled again in 2022. Right now, they're saying it's a recession. It's a bunch of BS. Don't believe that lie.
Right.
We've already made more in the first quarter than we did pretty much in 6 months of last year. So we're going to collapse that because I don't believe the nonsense that they try to put in our mind, because I know God is my source and my clients are a resource. The corporations that I train are a resource. But when you really look behind the scenes and you believe with your heart that God is your source, that God is your CEO. And I want your honest to hear this, right? For me, whenever I have that moment of doubt, because we all have doubt, right? When you're growing, you're challenging yourself, you're going to be scared. Whoever says they're not, they're a bunch of baloney.
Absolutely.
The moment when I do that, I say this, right? And I want your audience to hear this. Stop saying you're of the world's economy. Start declaring I'm of God's economy. Because in God's economy, there's no lack, there's opportunity, and there's abundance there. Yes, you're going to still have challenges. Yes, you're going to have to be, how can I say this? You're going to have to be fortified is a word. People love, right? Everybody wants to go to the next level, but they don't want to go to the fortification and preparation to go to the next level, Tonya. And
so
that's
good.
where you grow. That's where you cry. That's where you, I mean, I've broken wine glasses just from being so frustrated. But it's like, it's part of that. But knowing that God is a CEO and that I'm grounded in that.
I have to tell you, and I'm so glad that you brought this up, because it just brought the memory back from when I heard that through Audible of your book. I was in the shower and I had your book playing. And the moment that you told that story, I remember stopping right there in the shower and said, wow, that's powerful. And I stopped that moment and said, God, I no longer want to be the CEO of my business. And I said, will you be the CEO of my business just like you are for Daniel? And I just have to tell you, I just had to just stop and just stand there in the shower for just, I don't know, it seemed like a while. And I know it was just seconds, but I just had to just stand in just silence and just in the presence for just a little bit. And because that was so powerful to me. And I just sat there and thought what that would be like to just give up that CEO role, because most people, you think about the CEO of a company, that's an important role. And then you just hand that position over and give it up. Lord, you take over. Wow. What a powerful moment. I have to say that was powerful.
When I did that, all the stress was gone.
Yeah. Wow. Congratulations to you.
All the stress was gone. And the big breakthrough was, I'll never forget, a couple of months ago, maybe in the beginning of January, my son was like, he was here because we were getting everything ready for taxes. Dad, is that right? I was like, what are you talking about? He goes, Dad, I think that month, I don't know what it was, but he was looking at the reports. And I think that month we had over $25,000 in account receivable.
Congratulations.
Right? What we had, right? That was our bill. That was our monthly nut.
Wow.
He goes, Dad, like, is that right? I'm like, what are you talking? Like, he goes, yeah. He goes, that's what you paid out? I go, yeah. He goes, well, how much do you make? He goes, how do you sleep? I was like, what do you mean? He goes, yeah, like you pay over $20,000 a month and just overhead and business. I'm like, yeah, dude, like it takes money to make, right?
Yeah, and it takes money to make money.
It takes money to run a business. And when people say that money's not important, then they're self-sabotaging themselves because by subconsciously, they're deflecting the revenue, the clients, the opportunities that they want because they have that as their paradigm. And I was telling my son, son, I don't worry because every month, whether it's 15, 20, 25,000 and 30,000, God does that and even more because we have a surplus. And I really, my son was just like, he was really amazed. And because you could see, right, he was thinking with his worldly mind and just like, man, like I wouldn't be able to say, yeah, but Jay, we grow into the capacity to be able to do that. I go, that's the problem when people they want their business to go from here to here, but they don't have the capacity because here, right, they have a 1% capacity. Well, maybe you need a 25% capacity for the next level. Well, it's a process. That's where the fortification comes through. And now, like when I say, okay, well, it's not that 20,000 isn't anything, but it doesn't intimidate me. And the next level, I'm challenging myself right now because we just made a bigger in thousands of dollars, right? Right. I want you to hear this, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe your business isn't growing because you're counting pennies and it's costing you thousands. Or maybe you're counting hundreds and it's costing you hundreds of thousands. And if you're counting thousands, it's costing you millions. Mm-hmm. And the more we cut this, right? You play the game of business not to lose. It's not the same as playing to win. Mm-hmm. You gotta, like yesterday, I was just like, you know what, just do it, right? I'm thinking business, just make the investment. Let's go. Like, don't even think about it. Because the thing is when you sow into somebody else's business, Tonya, it's reciprocated.
Absolutely.
Right? God, you know what? I want to support Coach Bird. I love this guy and I can learn something from him. One or two things, I'm going to get it. Then somebody else comes in and says, you know what, Daniel, I've been thinking about the coaching. Let's do it. I need it. But people, when they think like I can't afford it and they look at the numbers and you got to get comfortable. You got to get comfortable in investing in yourself, and that you can never invest in yourself too much time.
I absolutely agree. In your book, The Makings of a Millionaire Mind, you speak a lot about affirmations and posting those affirmations. And I think what we're talking about right now leads people into getting that mindset right. Talk a little bit about that process, because to help people get their mindset right.
Yeah.
Share with them how to get into that mindset.
So the word that comes to mind is one thing that really stuck out to me was intentional. You have to be intentional.
Yes.
You have to be intentional and in everything that we do daily. And so many times we just allow life to happen. But when you allow life to happen, what happens is this: instead of living from the inside out, you're living from the outside in. Mm-hmm. And most people live from the outside in. What do I mean? Well, I'll get up whenever I get up. The next thing you know, a friend calls them and says, hey, we're going to go have breakfast tacos. Okay, let's go have breakfast tacos. And they go, hey, I was going to go to the mall. You want to go? Great. Yeah, you go to the mall. Well, now you're living from the outside in because maybe you had something that you wanted to do. And next thing you know, it's already 1 o'clock. It's like, wow, where did the Saturday go? And you're like, man, I didn't get nothing I wanted to get done. Why? Because you were living from the outside in. You were influenced from the outside in instead of you being intentional. You know, I got to do, I got to spend time with God in the morning. B, I got to study this for about 30 minutes. And C, I got to work out on my mental and my physical health. And that's being intentional. So I tell people, you, as a matter of fact, we just cut off our cable yesterday because I told my wife, we don't even watch TV anymore. We're paying $200 a month for what? Why? And we were watching, like my wife, I like Steve Harvey because he's funny. We would like to watch Family Feud at night. And I go, we could do something else with those other 30 minutes. So being right, going to the affirmations it's part of my morning routine. And I know we all hear this morning routine, but you have to have a morning routine. And then B, you have to have an evening routine. What are you doing at night to get ready for the next day? So what I do is I wake up usually at 4 o'clock in the morning. From 4 to 4:15, I literally have my vision board over my toilet. True story. So I take in the optics, right? I take in the optics and then I'll say affirmations at that moment. And I'll say, Daniel is prosperous. Daniel is blessed. Daniel is highly favored by God and man. Daniel is a billionaire. I am living a billionaire lifestyle, right? Because that's the next level for me. And I'm saying this and right, it's repetition. And most people don't realize the scientific point. Why do I do that first thing in the morning? Because from the moment you wake up for the first 20 minutes, Tonya, you're in theta stage.
Yes.
What is theta? Theta is dream state. So that's when an adult, you're most programmable and you're taking that new information. And part of that morning routine, looking at my vision board, is saying affirmations to myself. And I can tell you, after doing this, we've manifested and we created it because the house that we live in right now, we will be here 3 years in July. Mm-hmm. As we were looking at our old vision boards and the old pictures, I'm like, look at that. That's a driveway in the picture. My wife had another picture. Look, that's the palm trees around the pool. I'm like, wow. And it's amazing. Like seven major characteristics that we were looking for in the pictures showed up in our home. Wow. And that's the power of that. And you have to be intentional on saying affirmations, and because you got to change that inner dialogue. And people don't do it, and they wonder, this is the mistake they make. Maybe they come to me and they're in a rut, and then next thing you know, within 60 days they're feeling better and they stop doing the things. Yes. And then they rubber band back to who they were. Look, I'm going to be friendly, but you're going to give me permission sometimes not to be your friend, because I got to coach you through this. And sometimes you got to challenge them and they get upset, but you have to be intentional, and affirmations are a huge part of what I do, especially the first 20 minutes of every single day.
I love it.
So what does that look like? Like in the book, I talk about, and our wristbands that we give out at our conferences, our boot camps, and our Millionaire Mind retreat, our weekend we're going to have here at the house is, right? We create an anchor. I don't have one with me, and cause I gave them away yesterday, but it says, I was born to make millions. And I give them that anchor, right? They wear the bracelet and they read it to themselves. Because once you start, think about this, first people, they've never said the word millionaire. So I give you $1 million bill and you're like, what? Like, they're not accustomed to saying the word millionaire, $1 million. You got to get comfortable in speaking the lingo, the language of that. So when I give them the wristband, it says, I was born to make millions. That's a huge affirmation. Say, hey, I am a multimillionaire. I'm a millionaire. Start declaring that over yourself. And many people, they stop because going back to what we were talking about 30 minutes ago, they don't feel worthy. They don't feel deserving. They don't feel loved. So because you don't feel loved, you're never going to get in life, Tonya, what you don't feel you deserve.
That's right.
You're never going to get what you don't feel you deserve. And many people, they don't realize it, but subconsciously, like we said, I call it below the surface. They carry all that resentment, all that emotions, all that garbage, and they self-sabotage themselves, but they don't even realize they're doing it. So affirmations is a huge key of what we help people with. And it's much more than that, but that's one thing is tell yourself, I was born to make millions, right? Money comes to me easily and frequently. I have a millionaire mindset. And when you start to really say this over and over, maybe you're not going to believe it at first, but like I write in my book, You Were Born to Fly. One thing that I write about here is that we have a rule called the Rule 151. And Dr. Marshall Hawk says this, is that when someone hasn't heard something ever in their life, they don't believe it right away. It doesn't register in their subconscious mind or their conscious mind. Next thing you know, the first 50, they tune you out. Second 50, it sounds like a noise. But the third 50, they start to believe it a little bit. And it's not until the 151st time that you tell somebody that I love you, you're worthy, you're a millionaire, they start to believe it. Think about that, 151, the Rule 151. And it's just a powerful study that Dr. Marshall Hawk did. And it's true.
Yes, I love that. It's kind of like the dream 300 list, your 300 dreams, on a list. I have my whiteboard over here and it has my social media followers on there. And I've listed how many followers, I'm going to have on social media. And at the end, it has my millions written at the end of that.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's over there. And when I walk into my office here, I see it, I'm constantly seeing that. And it's got certain posts are going to go viral. And, so yes, I believe like that. And, you talk to certain people, or you stop them in their tracks when they say something negative, and you'll say, okay, now let's rephrase that comment to a positive affirmation or whatever. And you can just see them going, oh Lord, not again, Or I'm doing it with my family. And I'm thinking, listen, trust me, this stuff works. I've done it for years. Look at my life versus your life or whatever. You just want to just shake people and say, this stuff works.
Yeah. So that's a big reason we do the Millionaire Mind Weekend Retreat. When we do the Millionaire Mastermind Weekend Retreat, we have the mastermind here at our house purposely. We could go, right? Sometimes people rent a different house or they have it at a hotel, but no, God said, have it at your house, right? It's more real to people because they see the life that you're living. They see the fact that Daniel has his luxury cars. They see the fact that Daniel is like, he's not just talking about it when right? Because I can talk about it here on a podcast about having a vision board over my toilet. But when you come and see it, you're like you have that visual intake. When you see everything in our bedroom, everything that you see in our office, everything that you see, and then we add you add the Millionaire Mind coaching that we do here, the strategies that we implement with you, and then really one-on-one. We've had people, the last one that we had here, people were just crying because they didn't realize how much junk they had inside of them.
Wow.
And we do exercises where it shakes you at the core in a good way, because you don't realize like all the things that are inside of us that are locking us from attaining that next level of success. Maybe you're saying, Daniel, I don't want to be a millionaire. Well, great. We had somebody that came and they were making 60,000 in their business. Next thing you know, they're making $250,000. Can $250,000 help your business and your life? And they were like, wow. They're like this, but they don't think it, because this is what you got to do. You got to touch and feel the dream. You have to touch and feel the dream. And that's what you do when you come to our Millionaire Mind Weekend Retreat, to our mastermind. It's a whole other level. And then, right, we teach on the 6 pillars. It's the pillar of spiritual. You have financial, of course, business. You have health, relational, and then intellectual. And that's the part that most people miss out, is the intellectual part. Because why? Going back to what I talk about, they undervalue themselves, Tonya. So there's so many things, and maybe you got one area right, but the mistake that I made, I had the money part right, the finances part, but my relationship stunk. So
I get that.
We really, when you come to our Mastermind Weekend Retreat, there's so many breakthroughs because everybody's at a different space.
Yes.
And then we learn from each other too, because it's really a higher level of frequency, and just the massive breakthroughs that I've seen. And it's so powerful. And that's why it's like, I'm honored that I can do this. And I'm going to be honest with you. There was a part of me that says like, who's Daniel to do these events? Who's Daniel to write a book? Who's Daniel to write this book? I self-sabotage myself from writing this book. I stopped for 6 months. And my wife came into my office one time. She goes, God says, when are you going to finish that book? I said, I don't know. She came back a week later in prayer. God says, you better finish that book, right? He's not asking you. He's telling you, finish the book. Imagine what you're telling me right now. If I would have been selfish enough to not do it, it wouldn't have helped you. And we've sold thousands of copies.
I love that. That is where, so I'm going to humble myself in front of my own audience. And I've been doing that a lot here lately, because that's where I need to get, is I am self-sabotaging myself. I hold my own self back from, as much as I want to share with the world and help my people, I limit myself, Daniel, who I tell, because I was suppressed from corporate of don't be a show. I was determined when I graduated. I went to college for a very short period of time and I dropped out. But then I had the attitude is I'm going to rise to the top of a company with no degree, but as if I had a degree. And I did that. And as I grew, I did very well in corporate. I grew up and became a director, executive vice president in banking. So I did very well over my 34-year career. But as I did that, it was there were people just filled with jealousy that I did that because I, went over people who had degrees, and I did it without a degree. But I mean, I worked and I worked and I worked. So I had that mentality and that stamina of know what it takes to get somewhere. And so then as I've started my business, I continue, I'll put myself out there and then I hold myself back. I'll put myself out there and then I hold myself back. And so I keep hearing the voices of corporate,
Yes.
You can't do that. You can't do that. So you can't show what you have. You can't show what the success is doing for you. And so I fight that inner mean girl, if you will, that's in my head. And so I have a coach that's trying to help me get past that, but I fight that every single day. And, man, it's a struggle. It's a struggle, but that is what I want to teach people. So as I am overcoming, trying to work with other people to overcome, but a lot of that comes from the very part that we talked about initially in this interview is, the confidence, the self-love, all of those things impact the success and the things that you hear in your head to overcome the power of what you have within you to do and be successful. Those things impact that success income level as well, because you get to where that the $1 million level, you can't get to the next level because you have that confidence issue. You got to break that confidence issue before you can then get to the next level. So powerful. But those affirmations and the I love yous, the mirror contact is so powerful. I've been doing that. Even I'll just humble myself a little bit more. I did an interview with a fashion expert. I've been on this weight loss journey, and I hired a fashion expert to help me with this event that I went to. You talk about another level of breakthrough. That was so powerful. And so each of these breakthroughs, not only do you see the breakthrough in yourself, but that takes you to another level of financial success. It's amazing at what each of these breakthroughs do for you.
Because there's a huge spiritual element. One thing, right? Whether you come to our boot camp or the mastermind weekend retreat that we're going to have here in August 25th, 26th, it's increasing your financial capacity to receive. Yes. And many times what's blocking us from increasing our financial capacity, it's a spiritual element. And people don't realize it. How do I know? Because I know many people that are successful money-wise, but they're so unhappy and they're miserable in the inside because they've never dealt with that spiritual element. And then we help you increase your financial set point, right? What you're saying is why am I stuck here we'll just say I'm stuck at $10,000 a month revenue. Why? Because you need to raise your financial set point. You need to elevate that financial thermostat. And most people don't know how to do that. So when you come to the mastermind weekend retreat here that we have, we crush all these things. And it's because we deal with the real issues at hand. And you're like, wow, I never knew that about myself. Wow. So it's a beautiful thing. It's amazing. And like, I just love helping people. I love helping people see that there's another opportunity for them to go to a higher elevation because God wants that for you. Because one of the biggest things that we've been able to do is really just help homeless people, orphanage in Africa. We support this big orphanage in Africa. And it's about that. And sometimes when I get complacent or lazy, I think about, man, we need to help these people. So we're in the process right now of helping build an orphanage in Africa. And when you're able to give from that surplus and God sees that, he's like, man, I'm gonna bless Tonya with even more millions because that's what it's about. It's right. It's that circulation of the money. So I'm going to leave your audience with this last hack, right? Stop saying you're spending money. You're circulating money. Absolutely. When you're circulating money, right? We have this affirmation that I say this to myself, right? All of the money that I circulate returns to me multiplied in an everlasting supply of increase and enjoyment. So it's just circulating and it's always increasing when it comes back to you.
I love that. Do you have just a couple of minutes, Daniel? I don't want you to leave before you talk about the Mari Strong Foundation. Can you share about that? I would love to hear.
So we have my wife's a breast cancer survivor, Tonya, and she was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2017. That's how I started even doing the business that we have now. And by God's grace, she's cancer free. But the Mighty Strong Foundation is we came up with the idea because when we were going through this, it was hard. We had insurance. My wife had insurance at work. But even with the insurance, when we were going through the treatments, the radiation, we were still spending out of our pocket like another $2,000 a month for radiation treatment. And there was nonprofits that wanted to help you, like Susan B. Komen. You got to wait 90 days before they even think about helping you. Like people die by then. Like what's the use to me? What's the use of a nonprofit if you can't access the funds immediately to say, right? And immediately, I mean, a week, 2 weeks, but 90 days, come on. I mean, we're going to lose our house. We're going to lose I mean, that's what I was thinking, right?
Yes.
Gratefully,
Very
I'm
stressful.
grateful to God that we didn't have that. But so with the Mighty Strong Foundation, we stand in the gap and we help men or women, usually women, because women have breast cancer more, but there is men that have breast cancer, which want to bring awareness to that. And we help them with chemotherapy payments. We help them with radiation. We help them with groceries. Right? Because to somebody going through that process, $250 gift card to the local grocery store, HEB here in San Antonio, it goes a long way. So at the Mighty Strong Foundation, we give back to women immediately within the first 7 to 10 business days if they need help. And usually it's a lot before then because, right, we know what it's like. When you've experienced the pain and the trauma of breast cancer, you want to be there for people. So usually we help people right away within the first 7 days of them reaching out to us. And it's just, we had to we do turn away some people, but 95% of the people were able to help because that's what we're about. Wow. It's about that. So they can go to to mightystrongfoundation.com. That's the mightystrongfoundation.com and make a donation. We love anything that is greatly appreciated because when you go through that breast cancer journey, it humbles you in a way you never thought. And sometimes in life, for me, Tonya, I was taking my wife for granted, not knowingly. And when you almost lose somebody, it's like it opens your eyes and your heart to realize like, wow. And now every single October, we have a big fundraiser because we have a women's conference. This year, it's going to be October 28th here in San Antonio, October the 28th. It's called Finding Your Inner Beauty Women's Conference, Finding Your Inner Beauty. And we have speakers come in from all over the country and we really pour into women. And it's beautiful.
I was going to ask you if you had a new date, because I was looking for that last night and I saw 2022. So I was going to see if you had if that was an annual conference.
Yes, we have it every October. And I need to update the flyer. So it's going to be October 28th, 2023 here in San Antonio at the Norris Conference Center. So we'd love to have your audience here with us.
Well, I was going to say, I wanted to ask you, how can I help you promote that? I would love to help you get the word out. I have I shouldn't say lots of friends. I have several friends that have either survived breast cancer or have it now. So I would love to help you promote that conference for sure.
Well, definitely. We'll have a conversation off the air, and I would love to spend some more time with you on that. And you're just amazing, Tonya. Thank you so much for having me on your show. It's been such an amazing time. And if your guests want to get a copy of my book, they can go to our website, an autographed copy here in the States, The Makings of a MillionaireMind.com, and they can get an autographed copy. And also we have our online program, 27 powerful modules that are going to transform your life, transform your business. And it's the Makings of a Millionaire Mind online program. And would love for us to apply to be at our mastermind weekend retreat. We do just make sure that people have good intentions coming to our home, right? Because we have a 2-day, August 25th, 26th this year. And we'd love to have you here and be part of our community and really just help you up level and bring healing to you spiritually. You can be that millionaire that God was just created you to be. And then you can connect with me, Daniel Gomez Inspires, on Instagram, Facebook, all social media platforms. And what I'll do for you is go to my website, danielgomezglobal.com. That's danielgomezglobal.com, and send me a message. I'll give you a complimentary 45-minute discovery session, and you can fill out our entrepreneur's assessment there at danielglobals.com, and we'll take care of you with that assessment at no cost.
Daniel, thank you. And it would be remiss if I did not ask you to give 30 seconds to your Sticker Shock Academy, because I have an audience that are speakers as well.
Yes.
So if you could give a 30-second shout out or so for your Sticker Shock.
Sure. So you see behind me, ladies and gentlemen, we have our Sticker Shock Speaking Academy. The beautiful thing about Sticker Shock, it's more than a speaking academy. It's an experience. You're going to come and you're not going to learn how to just become a speaker. We're going to teach you how to build a speaking business. We're going to give you the roadmap from the beginning to the end of how you too can monetize your story, become a paid speaker. People laughed at me when I said I was going to be a motivational speaker, but now 5 years later, I've shared the stage with Les Brown, John Maxwell, Tom Bilyeu, and we've made millions because of my speaking career, my speaking business. And I want to help you with your speaking career. You can call me at 210-663-5954, 210-663-5954, because your story matters and the world needs your story.
Daniel, thank you so much for joining me today. This interview has been energetic. It's been fun and been interesting, and I cannot wait to further connect with you. And for my audience, I know they're going to enjoy it. And for those of you that are listening and will listen in the future, please get his book. I have listened to it twice in the last week. I have enjoyed it, and I will listen to his other 2 books, or read them. I apologize. I will read them. They are not on Audible yet. I'm going to be working with him on that. And so I need you to get those on Audible. But thank you so much for listening today. And Daniel, thank you again for being here. And until the next episode, have a great and blessed day. Bye.